Now, as Donald Trump wraps up his visit to the UK with 2 days at his Turnberry golf course in Scotland, protests have plagued the trip. Large-scale demonstrations have taken place in London, Glasgow and Edinburgh against both the president and his policies. But has his visit been good for Scotland? Well, joining me now to discuss this are Drew Liquerman, chairman of Republicans Overseas Scotland, and Alma Salim is a Scottish Pakistani writer. Drew Liquerman, maybe I could start with you. First of all, tell us what the purpose of his trip to Scotland has been. I mean, all we've done really is waving to protesters and playing golf.
Right. Well, the purpose of the trip was he just did his big UK visit. He has 1 or 2 days before going to do his anticipated summit in Helsinki with Putin. I think there were regrettable aspects of the Scotland trip that he was only at the golf course. And look, that's not President Trump's fault. I think it was regrettable that the SNP, led by Nicola Sturgeon, really tarnished the relationship between Holyrood, the Scottish government, and the White House by, endorsing Hillary Clinton in the election, calling for Trump not to visit the UK. And look, love Trump or hate him. I'm not on here to convince people that, hate Trump to change their mind. But I think it's regrettable for everyone involved, especially the average Scottish people, that President Trump didn't have meetings with the leadership of the SNP that could have potentially worked on, really having a trade deal, if we do have a good trade deal, that, tailors Scotland in the trade deal somehow, and really makes sure to benefit Scotland, whether it be, economic incentives or, the massive Scottish heritage of American folk that would love to visit Scotland. So tourism, cultural. So I do think that it was regrettable that Trump wasn't, that we didn't see meetings between Trump and the First Minister.
All right, let's go to Alma Salim now. The protests have dogged his visit to parts of the UK over the past few days. Are they justified, this level of demonstration against him?
Yeah, I think they're incredibly justified. At the end of the day, Donald Trump advocates for white supremacy, and Scotland, if anyone has ever visited there, should know by now that we do not stand for that at all. Racism, sexism, ableism is just not welcome.
And Nicola Sturgeon appeared, it would seem, to snub him. I mean, she had a prior engagement at a gay pride, but can that conclusion be drawn? She wanted nothing to do with him?
I think Nicola Sturgeon and Donald Trump have butt heads before, especially over the Turnberry course. And I think she had better things to do than meet Trump. And LGBT pride is incredibly important, and she's passionate about her country, and I respect that.
Drew Liquerman, so you say he could have, or his PR team could have handled things differently. So a bit of a PR disaster, is it? Him just appearing on the golf course?
No, I mean, not for Trump. I would say it's a disaster. The only disaster it's for is potentially for the Scottish economy, that, the President of the United States didn't meet with the foreign minister. And look, I understand Trump, unless there was an apology or some sort of mending ties, Trump not wanting to meet with the First Minister of Scotland, who, interfered in the democratic election in the U.S. by endorsing Hillary Clinton, breaking diplomatic protocol, calling for Trump's visit not to take place. And, talking about Nicola Sturgeon at the Pride Parade, look, of course that's important. It's also important to note that Donald Trump is the first president in U.S. history going into office to accept gay marriage as law of the land, something Barack Obama did not accept going into office. And look, I don't have time to go over all the bingo words we heard from the last speaker, but I completely reject, all the bingo words mentioned about Donald Trump. And, I think it's more important just to focus on, it's not important to focus on Trump, on Sturgeon, on May. It's important just to focus on working on the relationship between our country, working on economic ties, political ties, and, cultural ties are something that are extremely important for a lot of Americans. So I was really hoping that his trip to Scotland could, I'm from Virginia, and Virginia has a very rich Ulster Scot and Scotch-Irish and Scottish heritage. A lot of people, their families came from there. So, I'm hoping just average, regular Americans seeing Trump in their ancestral homeland where their family could inspire them to come visit Scotland. It's a beautiful country. So, look, I'm still hoping there'll be pluses out of his short trip to his golf course.